Today I fucked up by inviting a girl over. This happened this morning. This TIFU started on Saturday, it's Thursday now. Matched with a girl on Facebook dating and she was very cute. I did notice that she only smiled with her top row of teeth in the pictures and figured that her bottom teeth might be effed up but didn't think much of it. She had traditional wife energy and I was into it. We end up meeting on Sunday after some pretty clean chatting. Turns out she lives exactly 8 minutes from me, so I offered to pick her up for our first date. I learned a lot about her in a very short time. I won't reveal all the details, but she had battled a long time with eating disorders, thus her teeth a bit janky. From what I saw, they weren't that bad. This is all a red herring. Nothing about this TIFU has to do with the teeth. I wanted to mention it because I was so focused on this that I didn't pick up the other red flags. I also find out that she doesn't drink all that often and only at mealtimes if it's appropriate. How nice! She also lives with her parents. Why? She has a surgery coming up and it's involving a lot of physical therapy. I pieced together it's probably due to her aforementioned eat disorders and a complication thereof. Otherwise, great date. Fast forward to last night/this morning. I invite her over for dinner. The plan was her dad would drop her off because she doesn't have her car due to a recent wreck and I would drive her home later that evening. Okay. She also tells me that she's a felon like 1 hour before we hang out. Okay, don't worry, it's just 3 DUIs and it's over with. Thanks for telling me. No, really, I should have paid attention to that red flag. She comes over and after pleasantries, I start to cook a shrimp curry soup. She asks for a drink, I show her my drink cabinet and picks out the most expensive tequila I have. That's fine. She proceeds to have 2 shots. Biggest fuck up. I presume that everyone is good at self-regulation of their drinking. It's just what I believe. We know if we are getting toasted or not, and it's intentional. I join and catch up with 2 shots. I get a seltzer for myself, and she grabs a cocktail. And another one. 4 drinks in 40 minutes for this 110 lb person. I assume she's good at holding her liquor. After dinner, we are cuddling where she has her head in my lap. Suddenly, to my surprise, she takes her pants off and says, "Let's go to bed. A woman has needs." Gentle reader, let me mention nothing sexual happened here. I was barely registering as tipsy and she was beyond drunk. I set her in bed and she immediately passes out. No worries, I'll put a trash can near her and I'll go watch some TV/play games and check on her. The horror story starts here. I check on her and I realize that my bed is dark. I touch it and it's pee. Just fucking great. I attempt to rouse her and alert her she has soiled herself and my bed. She wakes up and asks me why I'm waking her up and then tries to flirt with me. I then notice she's soiling herself again actively while trying to seduce me. I somehow manage to get her to the bathroom and sit her on the toilet and have her drink water to sober up. This was a bad plan later. She refuses to use the toilet and I ease her down to the ground on my fuzzy bath mat. I drape her with a towel and place another beneath her, just in case. I then spent the next 5 hours until 4:30 a.m. washing my clothes, her clothes, my bedding, and comforter. At some point, I sit on the couch where she was earlier and realize that she had soiled my couch. That's why she was so urgent to go to the bed. FML. I do check on her to make sure she's okay, and I end up changing her towel twice. I finally decide to go to sleep at around 5 and I have work at 9, despite the ice storm. I set an alarm at 8 so I can drive her the hell home and forget it all happened. At 6:30, she wakes up confused and naked, to which I provide her some of my gym clothes that I don't really care about. I go back to the couch and she's embarrassed and hungry. Fine, go eat leftovers, but let me sleep. She clangs around the kitchen a while. She apparently ate all the shrimps in the soup. Great. She decides to cuddle with me on the couch and I had no energy to push her away. She attempts to kiss me, but I rebuke it, and then realize there's gin on her breath. I spring up and go to the kitchen and realize she drank another 4 O's of gin at 7:30 a.m. I run back to the bed and she's catatonic again. I start to freak out and see her phone. She told me her birthday on the first date and used that to open her phone. Voila. Turns out she missed like 9 calls from her parents, so I called them from her phone. I explain every single detail of the happenings of the night and they are mortified. I tell them I have work and they need to come get her now. An hour later, her father shows up, which is ridiculous because they live so close, but I was just happy he was there. I had gathered her laundry, belongings, etc., and give it to Dad. Dad is not happy. He yells at her, and I tell him, "Hey, sorry, my house. Please, no yelling." He apologizes and agrees. Surprised it actually worked, but I guess he was embarrassed about everything. Dad takes his stuff and comes back and says, "She was almost 1 week sober, and this happens. Not your fault, son." Oh, the DUI thing makes sense now. She cannot stand up by herself, so he tries to scoop her off from the couch, but she's completely dead weight and wakes up yelling that she hates her dad and pees on him and my couch again. We both end up dragging her to the car, and my neighbors are watching, mortified at what seems like a kidnapping happening. Her mom just texted me to apologize a few hours later and that she would get me my clothes back. I'm most upset that I'm sitting here eating my shrimpless soup. Today I fucked up by taking my friend's fiancé out for a drink. This happened 2 weeks ago. I, female, met my friend's male fiancé a couple of months ago when he moved with her back to his hometown. The fiancé and I got on well enough, and we tentatively started to form a friendship. The night before their wedding, my friend stayed over at his brother's. I stayed the night at their house with the bride. She had no friends or family in town, and I was by default the bridesmaid. Feeling kind of sorry for her for not having had a bachelorette party or anyone around, I suggested that we go out to have a few drinks, celebrate her last few hours of singlehood. She agreed. I ordered a beer and a tequila each for the first round, thinking that we'd start with a shooter, have a few beers, and end up with a shooter. Nothing wild. I didn't want to be the cause of a severely hungover bride. After the first tequila hit her stomach, she changed, became more animated. I put it down to just pre-wedding excitement. No one told me that she was a recovering addict who hasn't had a drink in 4 years. No one. In the past, when I visited, my friend and myself would drink beer and she wouldn't. I always thought that it was because she wasn't particularly fond of beer or alcohol. I have lots of girlfriends like that who will only drink on certain occasions, but I like beer. The bride started chugging beers and shooters like a frat boy. I tried to stop her, she wouldn't listen to reason. She became more and more aggressive, so I just backed off. Had I known then what I know now, I would have made a bigger effort, even if that may have meant a black eye or bloody nose for me. As Murphy would have it, she chose the exact moment to go to the restroom as a girl who was doing lines in the stall next to hers. The bride asked and got given. Anything for the bride, right? "Oh my god, oh wonderful, you're getting married tomorrow, here's another." The night went downhill from there. She was like a freight train with me barely hanging on. She phoned her husband to be and told him that the wedding was off, that she's changed her mind. I felt like dog shit. I eventually managed to get her home at around 4 a.m. He was waiting for her. She screamed at him and he shouted at me. They postponed the wedding. I feel so bad. I never wanted to cause shit for either one of them.